The person who survives the blackout, the collapse, the quiet end of the world, isn't always the one with the biggest stockpile or the coolest tactical gear. Sometimes it's the one who thinks just a little different. 7 mental habits, subtle, strange, often misunderstood, and they hide a mind built for a world nobody wants to admit is coming. You ever notice how some people scan a room like they're mapping exits, counting glass bottles that could become improvised weapons, and estimating how long the power has been out by the temperature shift in the air? That's not paranoia. That's pattern scanning, the mind that hunts for anomalies without even trying. In a collapse, the first person who notices the sound of generators dying in the distance or the way the birds go silent is the one who gets 10 seconds more warning than everybody else. And in survival, 10 seconds is basically a lifetime. Then there's the habit that gets labeled overthinking, the brain that runs simulations like a rogue supercomputer. If I say this, they'll react like that. If the storm hits here, the flood moves there. In day-to-day life, people tell you to calm down, stop spiraling. But listen, overthinking is just rehearsing reality in advance. When the grid goes down and supplies stop moving, your brain will already have the map. The grocery supply chain has 3 days of cushion. Water pressure in municipal systems collapses after 24 hours without power. If your brain knew that weeks ago because it couldn't stop thinking about it, congratulations, that problem just turned into a strategy. Ever met someone who can detach from chaos? Not coldly, but like they're watching the world from 3 inches to the left of their own skull. Dissociation gets a bad reputation, but in a disaster, the ability to separate emotion from analysis is a weapon. Panic narrows the world down to one sensation: fear. But detachment, that lets you triage. You smell the smoke, you note the wind direction, you calculate how long before the fire reaches the tree line, and only then do you decide whether to run. It's not emotional failure, it's bandwidth allocation. And how about this one, the compulsion to organize your bag, your room, your thoughts? People call it obsessive. They joke. They say you make everything too intense. But in the field, organization is the line between living and dying. A survival kit arranged in muscle memory order saves minutes. Minutes save lives. If you know exactly where your iodine tablets are by touch alone, because your brain demands structure like lungs demand oxygen, don't apologize. Own it. That habit is a survival algorithm disguised as a personality quirk. There's the daydreamer, too. Lost in thought, staring at clouds like they're equations. You get called unfocused, distracted. But imagination is a simulation engine. You picture scenarios that haven't happened yet. You stress test your worldview by building fictional disasters and figuring out how you'd navigate them. The brain is a training ground. The daydreams are drills. Ask anyone who's lived through a crisis. They survived the moment because their mind had already lived it 1,000 times. The body just followed orders. Here's my favorite, the habit of not trusting the default story. Everyone else hears, it's just a temporary outage, and your brain whispers, systems don't fail without a cause. You're the one asking, what's upstream of this? Where does the data originate? What happens if the supply stays down? It's not cynicism, it's situational awareness. CIA field manuals basically worship this mindset. In disaster psychology, it's called pre-crisis cognition, the ability to assume that the official explanation might be incomplete and to prepare accordingly. Doesn't mean you fall for conspiracy theories, it means you run diagnostics like your life depends on it. And the last one, the habit nobody ever talks about, the quiet collector. Not of objects, of information. You absorb video skills at 3 a.m. You know how to make a Dakota fire hole, but you've never lit one. You can explain the mechanism of a Faraday cage even though you've never touched an EMP-proof bag. You store knowledge like you're prepping a mental bunker. People say, why learn that? You'll never need it. But you feel it in your teeth. Someday, maybe you will. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than academic sources. Here's the twist most folks never see coming. These habits don't make someone broken or weird or malfunctioning. They make someone tuned to a different frequency, a mind built for environments where everything fragile shatters, where the thin layer of civilization peels back, where instincts matter again. So if you've ever felt like your brain is miswired, ask yourself, is it broken or just calibrated for a world most people aren't ready for? Because when the lights go out, the roads clog, and nobody can hear the radio anymore, the mind that survives won't be the loudest or the bravest or the strongest.